Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television live from Lagos. Wives of the 17 governors from southern Nigeria have reiterated their commitment to impact positively on the lives of women, children, youths and the vulnerable in the society. The women made the commitment at the end of a two-day forum which took place in Owerri, the Imo State capital.
It's the inaugural meeting of the Southern Governors' Wives Forum since its formation in Abuja a month ago. The forum cuts across the southwest, south-south and southeast geopolitical zones of the country. The women converged on Owerri, the Imo State capital, for a two-day meeting hosted by the chairperson of the forum, the wife of the Imo State Governor, Nkechi Okorocha. Upon arrival, the women paid a courtesy call on the Imo State Governor, Rochas Okorocha, at the Sam Bakwe Expanded Exco Chambers at the Government House.
Southern Governors' Wives Forum is a new organization that was instituted by none other than the mother of this great country, the wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Her Excellency,
While welcoming the women, Governor Okorocha commended their efforts in unifying the 17 southern states of the Federation, irrespective of their husbands' political differences. He urged them to continue in this feat as it will go a long way towards bringing lasting peace and unity in the country.
There's need for Nigeria to revisit the family values. So on all that we discussed today, please make out the charter to address the issue of family. Because we're no longer paying attention to children.
After the two-day meeting, the women came up with a communique and a roadmap for the Southern Governors' Wives Forum. The communique, which was read by the wife of the Ogun State Governor, Mrs. Olufunsho Amosun, stated that the forum is aimed at supporting the programs and activities of the wife of the President, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, and also impact positively on the lives of women, children, youths, and the vulnerable in the rural communities.
3 issues were agreed upon to be our initial main focus and immediately embarked upon. Girl child education and child labor issues, women empowerment initiatives, and health issues, which is the Future Assured initiative. It was resolved that as pioneer members of the Southern Governors' Wives Forum, we have the responsibility to lay a solid foundation for our generation and the next generation. Therefore, we cannot fail. We must not fail.
Out of the 17 states of the southern part of the country, wives of 12 governors were present at the meeting.
Well, the federal government is absolutely committed to the deadline for the digital switchover of the broadcast system from analog to digital transmission after an initial failed attempt. And this is coming from the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, while on a visit to Jos, the Plateau State capital. According to him, the new deadline of June 2017 shall be pursued vigorously and assistance will be provided to all relevant agencies in actualizing the new date.
After the June 2015 deadline of switching from analog to digital terrestrial broadcasting passed and Nigeria did not meet it owing to funding challenges, a new date was set, June 2017. A fresh breath of hope, some might say. The federal government has promised to give the necessary assistance to the relevant agencies so that Nigeria complies with the International Telecommunications Union directives of digitalizing the broadcast industry. A minister in charge of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, visited the site of the transmitter for the signal distribution to inspect the equipment and facility. He also witnessed a demonstration of how the set-top box functions and the utilities provided by the equipment.
As you all are aware, the pilot scheme for this important project is being carried out right here in Jos. This visit, therefore, affords us the opportunity to see how far we have come. After missing an earlier deadline for digital switchover, Nigeria has committed to achieving the digital switchover by June 2017. Let me state here, for the avoidance of doubt, that we will not miss that target.
Some of the technical partners explain what the digital switchover entails and the functions of the set-top boxes.
Viewers who currently enjoy analog TV, as we know it today, will not be able to receive digital signals into their homes. So the set-top box is like a bridge. So the set-top box is like a bridge between the digital signal and their analog television. So part of the value that goes inside the box is that government can use the software, what they call the middleware, that goes into the set-top box as a tool to drive information to home or not. It goes as part of the user interface on the screen, and they can get that information.
It's just over a year to the new deadline of June 2017 set by government. All necessary steps and agencies will have to stay the course so that Nigeria will join other countries like Malawi, Mauritius and Mozambique and Rwanda on the digital broadcast platform.
In recent times, lawmakers have been showing a lot of concern on the lack of patronage of Nigerian-made goods. To this end, they have tasked the executive to initiate and implement the first option policy for all arms of government procurement. Most manufacturers say the challenge does not end there, but includes infrastructure and government policies. Our correspondent, Pt. Thompson, reports.
Over 2,000 manufacturers, as recognized by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, make up the real sector. However, in real terms, hundreds of individuals engage in various forms of production of goods that are expected to divert the attention of Nigerians from imported goods, which depletes the nation's economic strength. Some of these individuals engage in making domestic items such as household goods. From experience, they say it has only taken strong determination to hold on for as long as they have.
There are a lot of distractions in terms of NEPA. Power supply is not helping in Nigerian manufacturing.
I don't know why I don't always buy into that argument. Reason being that yes, of course, we have a peculiar problem in that sector, power and all that. Okay, they're complaining of the high cost of, the high running costs, the money they spend on diesel and all that. But the truth is, the big challenge is not the money spent on power generation. The big challenge is the fact that after all they had done to produce a product, you find out that same product is brought in by an importer and sold at a cheaper cost.
This plays up another challenge, which is smuggling, which manufacturers say have thrived in some cases in the face of government policy.
In fact, some of them could not cope, they have to shut down operation. So apart from the funding, which of course, as far as I'm concerned, it was not so much one part of the problems, because when you say funding, you see, it's not about throwing money at issues. There are other variables, there are other factors that are responsible for the collapse of the industry, for the inability of the industry to survive. So funding is just one out of them. And since government policy that is linked to the funding has not helped the industry in any way, most of them have to close shop. Of course, they felt it would be nice. You understand? It makes business sense for you to actually import.
The obstacles may be numerous, but for lawmakers like Babajimi Benson, there are brighter days ahead, going by the plans of the government.
We're expecting some bills from the executive towards making life and business more enterprising and more attractive to the teeming youth and to fresh graduates from school.
While the government plans to make business and manufacturing conditions in Nigeria more friendly, stakeholders have no choice but to hold on and believe that the expected change will be implemented. Pt. Thompson reporting for Channels Television News.
Well, joining me now on the news at 10 is George Onofowokon, a domestic manufacturer, managing director, Coleman Wires and Cables. He's also the chairman of Electrical and Electronic Sector Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Good evening to you, George. Thank you so much for coming on the News at 10.
Good evening, Harriet.
So,
thanks for having me.
Is this the time to start this Buy Nigeria to grow the economy?
Definitely it is. It's a time to buy made in Nigeria, because if you look at it, the focus of the government sector, the government as a whole, is local production. Now, the advantage of buying Nigeria is that, the way I see it, Nigeria has improved a lot in local production. The local producers are having a bit of an advantage at the current situation. And with the improvement in their production facilities, you should actually see more products in the market. And the more the products are in the market, the more you'll find out in improvement in ranges, in taste, in what they actually produce. So I'll say, for me, as a local manufacturer, definitely I would support buy made in Nigeria at the moment.
But then for most end users, they complain that it's always better to buy imported products because of the quality, and sometimes for a lesser price. Do you still share the same view? Especially, you know, one of the respondents in that particular report complained about it as well.
It's widely said. I think that report actually nailed it on the head. If you look at the factors that we do have, the major problem of imported products is that they come out cheaper. It's not that they come out better. So there's two factors that we're looking at. Now, is it really better? No, it is just cheaper. Nigeria is being dumped on. We have a situation where everybody brings everything local, thinks everything local is more expensive, because what is coming in is so cheap, but doesn't actually say it's better quality. I'll say local made products have higher quality because of the standards we actually create locally, and the standards we set locally are a lot higher than imported products. So if you look at most today, take for instance cement, who would want to actually import cement? It's just not worth it. Now, in terms of cable, in terms of even fans, you find that locally made fans are even better than the imported ones. So you're finding a situation where we are actually focusing our production now, because there's a disparity between the import costs now that is now expensive. Now we're more focused on local production.
So should we be more focused now on having bills passed to improve patronage, or having more energy looked at into the infrastructure sector, those key aspects of the economy that will engender more manufacturers to be back in the market?
I'm not totally against someone going with legislatures on the bill side, but I don't think that's the direction. We, luckily in our situation, we have both government policies and we have monetary policies. Now, monetary policies, thereby with the CBN, we need to do a bit more quantitative easing. If you look at the report earlier, they're talking about funding. Now, funding is a critical factor of making your locally produced goods maybe more available, in terms of them being able to increase their capacity, increase the capability, and increase production, local production availability, which is distribution. Now, once you make funding substantially subsidized, I won't even want to use the word subsidized, single digit, I think that would solve majority of the problem.
But then, George, you also have to remember, over 170 million Nigerians. Wouldn't there be a case of oversupply with not enough demand?
Now, you've just said 170
over
million.
170 million.
170 million. I don't think we can even meet the current demand levels of 170 million more Nigerians locally. Now, what I differ there is that we're not even meeting the needs of this 170 million. Now, for us to meet those needs means you must increase capacity. Today, we have not met the needs. Capacity utilization, especially in the last 1 year, if you look at it from the manufacturer's perspective, has gone up between 25% and almost 40% utilization locally. Now, that is just because we had this massive gap between what the cost of importation and the local position. So you having a example now, when someone says it's not enough, I disagree, because I spoke to one or two manufacturers last week, example of Fan Africa, which I was speaking about. She actually told me what she sold in 1 day and produced was equivalent to what she would have done in 1 month because of the current situation where locally demanded fans are better for her. So we're having a situation where there's more focus on locally produced products, because now these locally produced products look cheaper and are cheaper and higher standard than imported.
So even if this campaign is successful for now, for how long do you think that this campaign will be maintained?
It can be maintained, but we have to say something. If the government doesn't do a somersault, the biggest problem you have when policies are going the way of manufacturers that are today, a somersault doesn't help. Now, they need to be consistent with what they state. For instance, the focus on the government, or from CBN side, the monetary policy of the central bank, was to sustain machine importation, which is make sure forex is available for machinery. It was also to sustain the raw material. Now, you don't say that and don't do it, then you have a problem. Then you have misplaced policies. Now, if you're telling manufacturers, invest your money in manufacturing, I'm going to make sure money is available in dollars for you to import machinery and for you to actually get your materials, then you'll find out that will continue growing and sustaining that employment growth that they're looking for. If they do not, which we are having some misplaced issues here, you're having demand getting oversupply.
Then in a situation where we have oil prices going back to near highs, and we have the easing of pressure and easy accessibility now to forex, do you think that this campaign will be sustained?
I believe it can be sustained. The only worrying part of that is that now you have a forex whereby Nigerians' income from oil starts to go up, our reserves starts moving up. Now, do we go back to our old ways, which means we become importers again? The variance between the import, the official and the unofficial goes back to a 2 to 5% variance. Then we go back to the old thing. It's cheaper for me to import than buy local. The dumping starts all over again. Now, at that position, we've just spent more than a year since last year creating sustainability in the manufacturing sector, creating sustainability in the agricultural sector. We cannot afford, because we see oil regaining its position, we see maybe the forex position of the reserves retaining better position. We should not go back to an import-dependent country. It will not do us any good.
George, thank you so much for coming on News at 10.
Thank you very much.
And when we return, the British Council recognizes some alumni of British universities who have excelled in their careers, plus the latest from the world of business. Join us again.